hardware store to see my old friend Bob. I said my roof it leaks, my rug's a mess, and my front door needs a new knob. I got squirrels in my attic, I got bats in my head. Well, Bob just leaned over the counter and he shook his head and said, "You need home repairs and solutions. Home repairs and solutions. They'll fix your windows, they'll fix your house, they'll even tell you how to get rid of a mouse. Home repairs and solutions."
It's 9 minutes after 10 o'clock on a nice, beautiful, snowy morning in the Ozarks. And it's time for Home Repairs and Solutions, brought to you by Spring Mountain Air with your hosts, Mark and Mary. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Isn't this a great spring weather?
I love it.
You do?
I do.
Oh, goodness.
Of course, hey, it's spring in the Ozarks. What do we expect,
That's true.
But, actually last night I got out in this. We went and did a little shopping. The mall was very quiet.
I'll bet it was.
There wasn't a whole lot of...
Pretty much empty, I would imagine.
You had your run of the place last night, and Walmart wasn't even bad.
Wow.
Everybody had already been there and got their stuff early, I guess.
I guess.
So, yeah.
So what a difference a week makes.
Isn't that the truth?
I know. Last weekend, my son and my granddaughter's stuff were down. They were actually on the boat. My grandchildren got a little bit of a sunburn.
Yeah.
I was in Hot Springs. It was gorgeous. And now that I'm back, I don't know what the heck.
Yeah. I rode the motorcycle last...
Did you get to?
I did.
Good for you.
I rode last Friday evening quite a bit. And I rode Saturday till it really started cooling down, and so it's beautiful weather. So we got a little snow. We need the snow, though. I mean, really, we need the moisture.
We do. We do.
And really, unfortunately, we think 4 or 5 inches of snow really gives us a lot of moisture in the ground. It don't that much. It takes a lot of snow and the right kind of snow to make a whole lot of moisture. But we need it. And the nice thing about it is this time of year, it don't last long.
No, it doesn't.
Nope.
If you don't like the weather today, stick around. Tomorrow will be different.
That's right.
Hopefully, it'll be a lot better. I think next weekend is supposed to be really nice again. But I do have to brag on myself a little bit before we get started here. Mm-hmm. I went to Hot Springs to the races.
Yeah.
Had kind of a little girls' weekend away or whatever. And we were all betting on the horses, every race and all that. And we were losing and which wasn't real shocking. But, we lost we were losing every race. We got to the last race. So my sister and I were talking about, I said, what we're doing just ain't working. After the 10th race, we figured out what we're doing wasn't working. There was one race left. So we decided to change our bet. And we'd been betting on 3 horses in bombing, so we thought we'd bet on 4. Now that doesn't even make sense. If you can't get 3, why would you get 4? But we did, and we won on the last race.
Awesome.
We won enough. I won enough to pay for my weekend. My sister won enough to pay for. I'm telling you, that was beginner's dumb luck. Let me tell you. But it was a great time. We had a blast down there.
That's all that matters.
So I think we decided maybe we'll do this every year.
There you go.
Yeah. Just, a little getaway. Hot Springs is a real doable getaway from here. So.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, had a ton of fun, and but it's good to be back.
That's good.
It's always fun to win, too.
Always fun to win. Yeah, or just break even. Makes a person feel good,
Yeah.
So good.
So I figure, if I go next year, there's no way I'm going to win anything. I'm sure I used up my beginner's luck this year.
But now so you know what to do next year. So.
Oh yeah, right.
So yeah, will that work? Yeah, we'll see on that. But you'll have fun. Though.
We will.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have a great show today.
Oh yes, we are.
We have someone here with us in the studio today. I'm excited to have her here. Her name is Patrice. She's with Home Asset Security. Mm-hmm. And this is something that everybody needs to do.
Absolutely.
But very few people do. And the reason is they think that they can do it themselves, but they never get around to doing it.
Right.
So we're going to let Patrice tell you what she can do for you to keep your home assets safe and secure for when you might need to claim them on an insurance claim.
Right.
So welcome to the show, Patrice. It's great to have you.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here in this chilly weather. I saw a post this morning on Facebook of a guy in shorts that was doing a snow angel saying, "Welcome spring."
Good for him. You will not see me doing that.
No, me
but
neither.
Some people just enjoy just embrace everything, I guess, which is good.
That's good.
Which is good.
Yeah.
But why don't you go ahead and give our listeners an idea of what it is that you can do for them?
Okay. What I do is I go into your home and digitally catalog everything that you own. It's your choice what rooms I go into, what not. It's kind of customized to each individual homeowner, however they want me to do it. But I end up taking between 400 and 500 photographs. If you allow me, and which I would recommend, I take photographs of closets, drawers, dishes, pantries, sheds, in the event, of a catastrophic, claim. We have tons of tornadoes around here. Fires are on the rise in Missouri, in Springfield in particular. Theft is definitely on the rise. And if you ever had to have a claim, then all you would have to do is pull out the booklet or your CD, and you'd be able to prove that you owned it, what condition it was in, and you would be able to recall everything you owned.
And that is so important. And we hear about this all the time. We're told all the time. And even insurance agents will tell their clients, you really need to have some way to catalog what you have in your home. And I know, for instance, my cousin, it's been a few years back now, but her house actually got struck by lightning and burned to the ground. And the ordeal that they went through, can you now just imagine, sit down and try and start writing down everything you have in your home.
Yeah.
How many pair of jeans do you have? How many dishes do you have? What kind of dishes were they? How many? I mean, it is overwhelming. There is no way. And what she told me, and it took months and months and months to settle this claim, because they had to try and go through and, everything you have in your garage. How many rakes do you have? How many hoses? How many water hoses do you have? I mean, you start thinking about everything in your home. It is just a lot of stuff.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And there is no way that you're going to remember everything if you do not have pictures of it, or if you do not have some way to go back and look at what you had.
And it's an emotionally horrible time for you as well. So you're not only stressed from what has happened to you, but then you have to follow up with the insurance agent and catalog everything. And they're, socks, shoes, purses. People don't even begin to realize how much money they have in clothes alone. A lot of people are underinsured and should just do it for that purpose alone, to make sure you are insured properly.
That's true. And the other thing is, you can go in and, like, if you have some expensive jewelry, or if you have maybe some expensive paintings or something. Like in my case, I don't have the receipts for my jewelry because my husband bought it for me.
Sure.
And gave it to me as gifts throughout the years for Christmas or holidays or whatever. Well, he didn't give me the receipts. I have no idea where the receipts are. So if you lose something like that, and say you have, a $5,000 ring, how are you going to prove that? If you don't have the receipt, you don't have the ring, what are you going to do? I mean, it's going to be very difficult to prove to an insurance company the things you had, especially if they're of any significant value.
Well, and one of the things that is on the rise in Springfield is theft, break-ins. Even if you have an alarm system, they are breaking in. They go in directly to the bedrooms. They throw everything they can throw all the jewelry in a pillowcase and be out the door before the police would ever get there.
Oh, sure.
And a friend of mine got robbed recently, and she's been fortunate to receive many gifts, jewelry items over the years, and they took everything. And so there's a lot of pieces that she didn't even remember, because she hasn't worn them in a long time. Things that she got, in high school or whatever. And it's just really important to have all of that itemized, so that they're not going to pay you if you don't tell them you lost it.
That's true. That's true. And something else, you brought is that this morning's paper?
Yes, on the front page of this morning's paper.
Yeah, for those of you who get the paper or read it online or however you get it, it's talking about Springfield saw a rise in crime in 2012. And
18.4 in property.
Just in property.
In property alone.
So, that's something, and maybe you're thinking, well, that'll never happen to me. And that's what everyone thinks until it happens to them.
Until it happens, exactly.
And this is something that you hear about and you talk about, and people say, you've been told over and over you need to video stuff, and most people have video cameras or some way to do that, and everyone goes, oh well, I could just do that. But how many people do?
Exactly.
Right.
Very, very few people take the time and effort to video their possessions or what they have. But not only does Patrice video this stuff for you, she puts together a booklet. She brought it in here. It is really
that
neat.
is super.
It is really
that
neat.
is cool.
She's got pictures of everything, individual pictures underneath them. There's a description. There's all kinds of information you can write in there. The other thing that I like about that is what you've done, which I thought was very thoughtful, is if you have a particular area you want that to go to,
Right.
you can specify that in your own handwriting in this booklet. You can keep this with your will or your trust or whatever legal documents you have. Now, now you said this is not necessarily considered a legal document, but it will help enforce your legal documents if you have a picture of whatever it is you're wanting to give away with that person's name in your handwriting.
That's correct. The arguments would be not as strong if it's in, your mom's, grandma's handwriting saying, I want Joe to have this, and so the dispute is less. And that's one of the reasons why I encourage people to do that, is because after you're gone, so many families get in disputes.
Oh, they get into
over-
terrible
Yeah.
fights. It's
and it's
sad.
always the personal effects. They can divvy up the real estate and the big items and the money easily enough, but it's the personal effects that cause most family disputes,
Sure.
which is
sure.
so sad.
Yeah. So grandma has a diamond ring and there's 3 girls,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so then that can be a real issue if grandma hasn't specified, who this goes to.
Exactly.
So this would make things, much more simplified for everybody. And that way you have a better chance of the person you wanting to get an item actually getting that item.
Right. And you can sit down with your family members and say, what do you want? And
Sure.
then make that choice yourself. If there's 2 people that want the same item, it's not something you necessarily have to make all those decisions yourself. But if you ultimately make the decision prior to, it's going to, resolve potential conflicts.
Sure.
And you can do it at your own leisure. Once I come in and give you the booklet, it's not something that you have to complete tomorrow.
Right. It's something that you can take time and kind of go through or think about. Maybe you haven't decided, who should get this or that other, but that gives you time to think about that. And what I like about it is you have this set up in a spiral binder, and it's got color photographs. Like you said, you don't have to go in and absolutely video photograph every individual item, but like you can open up a closet and
Correct.
you can, see that you had, maybe, there are people here that own fur coats. I don't, but there are people who do. Maybe you have 3 or 4 fur coats. You can take a picture of those hanging in your closet.
Sure. Yeah.
Or like jewelry where it looks, you've laid out, jewelry where you can actually see the pieces and what you have and what's there. Now, like my jewelry box is kind of a mess. So I just have like stuff kind of like thrown in there and all crumpled up or whatever. So I would have to actually, pull stuff out, but that's not that big a deal. At least then you know what you have.
Yes.
And you have a good picture of what it is, a color
Right.
photograph. The other thing that she's done with this booklet, which is really cool, is, as you purchase things or if you have receipts somewhere, maybe you have receipts in a shoebox or something with all this stuff. There's a place in here to put the receipts for these items too, so that you
Yeah,
can prove to an
right.
insurance company that not only did you own it, but this is what you paid for it.
Right.
And that is huge.
That, to me, that's great. And something that came to my mind is people are try to scam. I mean, that goes
sure.
on all the time.
Oh, sure.
But to me, that would hold so much more validity to go to your insurance company and say, if they would look at this $10,000 diamond ring that you took the picture of, they like, well, you could have went, and took that at the jewelry store. Who knows? But this way, there's something to, to show, no, this was actually taken in my home. This is mine.
A third party.
Yeah,
A third party came
exactly.
in. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So, yeah. So I would think the insurance companies would really like that.
They do. And there is so much insurance fraud out there. And it's why it makes the claims process so difficult, is because there is so much fraud. And so they do want you to prove it and make sure you owned it and it was in the condition that it was. And, the insurance industry states that if you have this documentation, your claim will be much quicker, for one
Right.
thing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sure.
And it'll be much more accurate. Because, number one, you're not going to forget things. Our family cabin burned.
I was going to
We
ask
got
you to
struck
tell
by
the story
lightning.
as how you got started in this, because you have firsthand experience with
We
this.
do. We do. We actually had a fairly pleasant experience with our insurance company, but from anybody else that I've spoken to, they certainly weren't as lucky as we were. Our cabin got struck by lightning, went up the water main, and of course, being at the lake, my brother actually went to move the dock and saw that it was burning. He's a volunteer firefighter. By the time he got to the fire station and back, which wasn't 10 minutes, it was,
Gone.
poof. And it wasn't our primary residence, but we'd owned that cabin for 32 years, and so. It not being our primary residence, for those who have lake homes, you really should do that as well. It's even more difficult to remember everything that's in there because you aren't there 24/7.
Well, and when you are there, like in a situation like that, you're spending more. You're sleeping in there, or whatever, but you're spending more time outside. You're not really focused on what you have inside, like you would somewhere that you're living on a permanent basis.
Right.
So, Patrice has been through this. She's had this experience, and she knows what it's like to lose a home and to have to recreate what you had there.
Exactly. And it's overwhelming. And because you're so traumatized by what's happened anyway, just the thought process that you have to go through, it's just overwhelming. It's just overwhelming.
I'm sure it is. And, and a lot of people, a garage is another area.
Yes.
That you can have a lot of money sitting in a garage, but people don't. I mean, there would be no way that I could go back through and catalog everything that's in our garage or even remember. Most of it, I don't even know what it is.
Right.
That was Paul's domain, and I really didn't deal with the stuff in the garage. I am now, but, if something were to happen, there's no way that I could.
Yeah, you couldn't even
Right,
remember what it was.
No, I would have. I would just. That would be a huge loss to me, not only in the fact that, I lost the possessions, but I would lose that money from the insurance company because I would not be able to know what to tell them was in there.
Right. And most people underguesstimate what they
Yeah.
have, especially in their closets. In particular, like, you may guess how many pairs of shoes you have, but if you went in there and counted, or purses or
Well, shoes, we'll see, about 3 pairs
yeah,
for me.
man,
Well,
it's
that's
a
because
little
you're a
easier.
guy. That's because you're a guy.
But music instruments, now that's a different story,
CDs,
yeah.
Yeah. Movies, can you imagine? People,
Movies.
yeah. How many people
and
own
at least if
movies
you have
at
a
home?
photograph of it, and then you can prove to the insurance agent, count them. It's right there
Yeah.
in a picture. Count them.
Count 'em.
There's
That's a good
55.
idea. Yeah.
And so you're not saying, oh, I think I had 40 or I think I had 100. And
Right.
And they're saying, well, you need to prove to me that you had 100. Okay, here it is, right here.
Sure. And it's all those little things like that you can't prove or don't remember that really
Right.
add up.
It's the big stuff's easy to remember.
big stuff
it's
is
the little
easy.
stuff that you can't. That's difficult to remember.
And all the little stuff adds up as far
Oh,
as a
yeah.
claim goes.
Oh yeah.
So, and I would imagine that most people who go through some sort of disaster like that with their home probably end up cheating themselves on their insurance claims because there's no way.
There's
There's
no
just
way.
no way you can remember all that you can bring it all together.
And you remember after the fact, after
Yeah,
you've settled
after
the
you've settled,
claim,
sure.
then you're thinking you're going to look for something that, and it's like, oh gosh, I forgot about that. My car recently gotten broken into maybe 6 months ago, and it was after the fact, again, that I remembered that I had put several watches in my car the night before because I needed new batteries. But the store was
Oh.
closed. So I wasn't going to go until the next day. And I completely forgot about it until it was like, a while later when I'm looking for one of my watches, and I thought, oh my goodness, they
Those
were
were in
in
the
my
car.
car. And I just completely forgot about it. But then I didn't have any proof that I ever owned them to begin with,
Yeah. So
or the value of them,
Right.
sure. And so, like, to have something taken out of your car, I mean, it's not normal to carry several watches in your car.
No.
Unless you're going to, and I've done that too. As the batteries die, then I just get the next one, and then pretty soon
Yeah.
you've got to go get
That's
batteries because
exactly
none
what
of them
happened.
work.
Sure.
Yeah, and I've done that. So there's been times when I've had 3 or 4 watches in the car, but that's not normal.
No.
But it's still, if you could prove at some point that you did have those,
Right. I still didn't have any proof of the value of them.
Right?
I mean, I could have said I had 10 watches stolen.
Sure.
And then, you know.
And guns is another thing. Us
Yes.
guys like to collect guns. That these days that's a big deal. And
Yeah, it is.
so that's
It
a good
also
way
is
to-
you need to check with your insurance agent as well, simply because jewelry, firearms, things like that, there's definite limits that
Right.
they will pay out unless you have an additional rider with your policy. And firearms in particular is both jewelry and firearms are big ones.
Because I would say those are two that could be probably manipulated. If you didn't have to prove, you could say, "Oh, I had X number of diamond necklaces, or I had X number of guns." Well, that could end up being a huge claim. So if you have those, you better have the proof you had them.
That's right.
And like you said, you better make sure that you have them covered with your insurance.
That's right. No doubt.
So
Well, and jewelry is really easy to hawk.
Yeah.
They can sell
Yeah.
that really quickly.
oh,
so.
sure,
yeah.
you bet.
Hark, I heareth the banjos.
I do too. That means
Yeah.
that we have to take a break.
We do. We'll be right back with more of Home Repairs and Solutions right after this.
In times of joy, in moments of grief, broadcasters come through, even when all else fails. Today, with more ways than ever to experience the moments that transform our lives, Americans still choose broadcast radio and television more than all other media combined. We are the local broadcasters of radio and television, reaching more people, touching more lives.
Brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and locally owned and operated KTXR, KWTO AM and FM, and KBFL AM and FM.
Whether you have one small houseplant or acres of land, you're gardening. Hi, this is Nick Federoff. Join me every Sunday morning right here on KWTO AM 560, where we talk about gardening, landscaping. I'll help you out with all of your indoor and outdoor living ideas. All you have to do is to tune in, and that's Sunday morning with Nick Federoff on gardening here on KWTO AM 560, the talk of the Ozarks.
Sunday morning, 9 to 10. Here's news on the Ozarks News Network. A man from Branson has been charged with a robbery at a pharmacy there. 21-year-old Mason Scott was arrested moments after a robbery at Lakeland Pharmacy on Branson Hills Parkway. He's charged with pharmacy robbery and armed criminal action. The director of the Missouri Department of Transportation is stepping down. Kevin Keith will take an immediate medical leave and retire at the end of June. MoDOT Chief Engineer Dave Nichols will serve as interim director. And one of 3 men charged with robbing a family in their North Springfield home in 2010 has been convicted. 25-year-old Ramon Hicks was charged with first-degree robbery, armed criminal action, and first-degree burglary. It happened in the 1800 block of North Broadway. The 3 were caught a short time after the crime at a nearby Walmart when they tried to use a credit card taken in the robbery. For the Ozarks News Network, I'm Arlen Summers.
It remains cloudy for today. We could see a little freezing drizzle or snow showers early on, then we'll change to all rain by the afternoon. Watch out for slick spots, high of 41. Cloudy for tonight, low 33. Cloudy again tomorrow as rain arrives again, high of 46 as we start the weekend. The rain will change to snow tomorrow night, and it will continue into Sunday. Sunday's high, 35. I'm AccuWeather's Jason Lord.
currently 33 degrees.
Jerry Doyle, the fastest growing talk radio network program with the third largest show in America, is the newest addition to KWTO AM 560's broadcast lineup. The Jerry Doyle Show is conservative, entertaining, controversial, and live. Monday through Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. with a repeat hour from 8 to 9. Listen to Jerry and his guests discuss today's top issues or call in live with your own opinion. The Jerry Doyle Show, 6 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday on KWTO AM 560.
Join us Sunday morning at 6 a.m. on AM 560 KWTO for The World and Everything in It. From the editors of World Magazine, a 2-hour news week in review program that'll feature strong interviewing, deep reporting, and serious news analysis. That's The World and Everything in It. Sunday mornings from 6 to 8 a.m. on AM 560 KWTO.
Well, I went down to the hardware store to see my old friend Bob. I said my roof it leaks, my rug's a mess, and my front door needs a new knob. I got squirrels in my attic, I got bats in my head. Well, Bob just leaned over the counter and he shook his head and said, "You need home repairs and solutions. Home repairs and solutions. They'll fix your windows, they'll fix your house, they'll even tell you how to get rid of a mouse. Home repairs and solutions."
Welcome back. We're back with the second half of Home Repairs and Solutions.
Yes, we are.
And you know what we didn't do at the first half?
We didn't give our numbers out.
We didn't. You know, Mark and I get so excited about our guests
We do.
that sometimes we forget all the housekeeping stuff.
That's right.
So maybe we should do that.
I think we ought to. I think it'd be
Okay.
a good thing. If you're local here, 862-9977, 1-800-375-0056, or you can send us a text at 417-838-3192.
That's
and
right.
We'll read it on there if you're shy and don't want to talk on the radio.
If you don't want to be seen on the radio,
Seen
That's
on the
right.
radio.
we'll take care of that for you.
That's right, we will. So, free call for no matter where. Just call us.
That's right. If you have a question for Patrice, I'm telling you, everybody needs to do this. Everybody.
do.
And I know we've all heard it and heard it and heard it. And, you know, we're just procrastinators. When it comes to that kind of stuff, it just takes time and effort and all that. And there's always 100 other things to do. That's why that's why we have professionals.
Sure.
To take care of those things that we don't want to do or don't like to do or don't get
true.
done for whatever reason.
That's true.
So anyway, what we haven't done though is we haven't let people know how to get a hold of you, Patrice. If they want this done, they've got to be able to call you and set up an appointment.
That's correct.
How do they do that?
They can either call 417-827-4177, or you can visit my website at homeassetsecurity.com, or email me at patrice@homeassetsecurity.com.
Lots of ways to get it in we have lots of communication these days, so
Yes,
there's
isn't
all
it
kinds
nice?
of ways to get a hold of whoever you need to get a hold of.
And I do want to say real quickly, because some people are probably wondering the cost and the time commitment that it takes. The package that I recommend the most is takes about 2 hours for me to complete. Yes, you do have to be with me in your home, and it doesn't matter what it looks like because hopefully you're the only one that will ever see it. But that's $250, and you get about 400 or 500 photographs on a CD, and then also the picture catalog as well. So that's the one I recommend the most because we can do more detail if you have collections or things like that. We can certainly do item by item. It's, more time consuming, obviously. Basically, it's about $125 an hour. So it just depends on how many collectibles or...
Sure, or how detailed you want to get with it.
Exactly. That's your choice.
Sure.
That's your choice.
But for $250... for 400 to 500 pictures, that is very, very affordable. And then to get the booklet with all the pictures and all the information you're giving them. Now, you also told me that you give them a CD. And now, where is the best place to put this CD when they get it?
In a safety deposit box. The most interesting thing that I've found is that when I ask anyone if they've had this done or done it themselves, they'll say, "Oh yeah, I've already done that." And I say, "Well, where is it? Where do you keep the photographs?" And it's on my computer. okay, well, if your house burns down or
Yeah.
blows away or
Your
somebody
computer's not
steals
gonna be
your
there.
computer, well, you don't really, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I also keep a copy if the homeowner chooses in an off-site location. I do not keep anything on my computer. I don't keep any information on my computer. I delete it once that I've downloaded it onto a CD. So that's security for.
Absolutely.
I'm insured and bonded, of course, as well.
Of course.
So
there you go. Anybody who's been thinking about this or who's been procrastinating about this, and something else that people can do that I don't know if they've thought about it, but it's something that you can gift to someone.
yes,
Good idea.
If you, let's say, there's 2 or 3 kids in the family or something, and mom and dad haven't taken care of itemizing their possessions or whatever they need to do, maybe you would want to gift that to them and say, hey, mom and dad, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have Patrice come in. She's going to take care of all of this for you. You're going to get a booklet. It's going to help you, decide what you want to do with your stuff. It shows you what you have. I think that's a great idea. Oftentimes we don't think about, there's lots of things, services that you can gift to
Sure.
someone. And we think about maybe doing it ourselves, but we don't always think, this might be something that we could give to a family member or something like that. Because, like I said, it's something everyone needs to do, but very few people do it. Or like you said, if they do it themselves, they're not taking proper care of it.
That's right.
And what did you tell me? Missouri is the 5th largest state for tornadoes.
It's
or
number
something?
5.
Number 5 for tornadoes. And we're in tornado season. Folks, let me tell you something. If a tornado hits your house, just like Joplin, we all know this, whatever you have there probably isn't going to be there at the end. So
well, if there's rain, everything just gets destroyed.
Everything can just be destroyed. So not only are you dealing with that devastation, like you said, now you have nowhere to live. I can't imagine that situation or a fire where all you have is what you have on.
Right.
You have nothing else. Your car's gone. So that in itself is devastating. And then now you've got to file a claim and you don't have any idea. Now it would just be so overwhelming, and there's no reason for that. This part of it you can protect. You can make it easy to deal with. You have it on disc. After you fill out your booklet, then I would suggest that also goes in your lockbox at the bank. Once you've prepared it and you've got all the information that you want to, don't leave that in your house or in the closet or in a cabinet or something. Put it in the
Put it in the
lockbox.
lockbox.
Well, and
Yeah.
if you do complete that and you want me to make it part of your disc, I certainly can do that, for an additional fee. Most people, I would just recommend putting it in their lockbox.
Sure.
Or give it to your estate attorney or another family member, or
Sure.
don't keep it on site.
Yeah.
in your own
Absolutely.
home.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because that's what, and I'm kind of guilty of that too. I'll have something, I'm like, oh, I got to put that in the lockbox. Well, I'll get to that later. And then I'll stick it in a drawer. And then 3 or 4 months later, I'll put the drawer. I'm like, oh, crowd. That needs to go.
Yeah.
And we all do that.
We do.
Going to the bank to the lockbox is not my favorite thing to do. It just isn't. But we have things that happen that, and that's just the best place to put it. So, make your life easy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And this is something you can do that would really help.
And, once you have this, going to the bank should be a peace of mind to know that you're going there, you're taking care of this. It's there if you ever need it. Hopefully you never will.
Right.
Hopefully you never will.
But it would be great money spent. And, I can see, like we're talking, elderly folks, your mom and dad's getting up in years, things are going to happen. It'd be nice to know what they have. So when it does come that day where you have to sit down with the other siblings, other family members, you can say, listen, this is what mom and dad had. What do we want to do? Or how do we want to divide stuff up or whatever? You got it right there. There's no squabbling. It's there.
Well, and also, like, if the executor of the estate doesn't live in town,
Right.
for you to be able to send a CD to them, they have to come here and go through everything.
Exactly.
If they could just, go through a CD and say, we want to keep this, we don't want to keep that. I mean, that's another great reason to have it completed as
That's right.
well.
Absolutely.
Well, and look at, and you mentioned fires and stuff too. I mean, there's all kinds of things that can affect items you have in your home, but look at how many fires we had in Springfield and the surrounding areas this year. For a while, it seemed like every day you turn on the news, somebody else's house was burning down. I mean, it's just, it might not be you, it might be your neighbor, it might be it might be you.
Sure.
So
a couple years ago, my kids lost
yes,
everything.
they did. Right when we
know.
first started the show, we hadn't been on very
sure.
long, and they had lost
absolutely.
everything.
Well,
So-
and one thing I do want to mention is that I sponsor the Red Cross in CARES magazine. If you aren't familiar with the magazine, it's a great nonprofit communicating tool. And I'm also donating $20 of every inventory that I do to the Red Cross. They do phenomenal work. They're the ones that go to all these disasters. They probably help at least 3 to 4 families every single day, fire alone.
I know, and I don't think we realize it's that large.
I know.
3 or 4 a day. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. We have a caller.
We do. Let's talk to Andy here in Springfield. Go ahead, Andy.
Hey, I was curious if you happen to be in or you know of a network of similar people like yourself in out-of-state areas. Like my parents live in North Carolina. I wouldn't send you out there to do that, but if I wanted to have it done there for them, do you have that kind of capability?
If you want to pay for me to go to North Carolina, I'll be happy to go. But no, I'm sorry that I don't. I actually have trademarked my business, and I do hope that it expands to North Carolina someday, but we're not quite there yet.
Okay. I'll check out your website.
Okay, thank you.
That's a good idea. Yeah, if he wants to, you'll take a trip out there.
I'll go.
Sure,
I'll go with
absolutely. Yeah.
We'll all go.
We'll just all
Yeah,
go.
there we go. They do have flights there, I'm sure. We could
You
just
bet.
board a
Yeah.
plane. But
Yeah.
but no, I think that this is a great idea that you came up with. It's always amazing to me how some of these businesses come about. And sometimes it's through disasters that you suffer through on your own that you come up with great ideas that is going to be very helpful to other people, because disasters are going to continually happen.
They will.
We can't make everything safe. We can't control everything. We're going to have fires. We're going to have tornadoes. We're going to have, burglaries. We're going to have all these things. And I don't know. I think that this, when I learned that you had come up with this and found out you're doing this, I thought this was an amazing idea. And it's so helpful. I mean, it's something that's going to help everybody.
Right.
Well, and, hopefully you don't ever need it, but I did a lady's house, and after I delivered the product and the booklet and the CD, she called me a couple days later and she said, thank you. She said, this has given me a peace of mind that I didn't know I needed.
Absolutely.
And I thought that was just an incredible testimony for it, that, it is something that we all need to do. And it's really, we can get it done in 2 hours of your time, and then you don't ever have to worry about it. I do recommend that maybe once a year, every 2 years, you would have a quick update, because you get new things and you get rid of old things.
And that's what I was going to ask you about. Do you have a plan that you put people on, or do you call them every couple of years, say, hey, do we need to come in and update?
Yes.
Have you changed? Have you moved? Have you,
Yes, I certainly will do that. And the other thing that people don't think about, I would highly recommend that you have a quick update done at Christmas time, because a lot of people have a lot of money in Christmas decorations. And if something happened in May, there's impossible.
Yeah.
It wouldn't even come to your mind. For
No,
a
it
long
wouldn't.
time. It would be way down that list for holiday decorations. And so that's another time that I recommend just quick going in, updating your photographs.
When you have the
in a
house
short period
decorated.
of time. Yep.
See, and I didn't even think about that, but
Yeah.
that's true. I have quite a bit of money in Christmas stuff, and see, I wouldn't have thought of that at all.
Most people don't.
Yeah, because that's the last thing you're thinking about if something happens to your house is Christmas. So
Until Christmas comes around.
until Christmas comes around, you're like, oh shoot,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have my stuff.
Yeah.
And you've already settled the claim. You can't go back later and say, oh, by the way, Mr. Insurance Agent, I
Yeah.
forgot my Christmas tree and my this and my that.
Yeah.
Once you've settled that claim, it's settled.
Yeah.
So that's a good idea, because some people really, do you have a lot of money in those type of things?
Yeah. There's just a myriad of reasons that people should have this done. Merged families. Sure, you hope nothing ever happens, but it's smart to have what's hers is hers and what's his is his. If you're getting ready to go through a divorce, those sound like negative things, but it really would save you a lot of heartache and time and attorney fees.
Yes, attorney fees for sure. Yeah, because if you're squabbling over this or that or the other, or arguing about if you
where to go,
and the attorney's fees, I think you pay those by the minute. I'm
not
sure. So the more organization you have on your side, and the more proof you have on your side of these type of things, the less this time is going to take, and the less it's going to cost you to get things handled the way you need to get them handled.
And, time is money.
Oh, yes, ma'am,
and
it is. It is.
Time is money. And for $250, boy, if you ever went through it, anybody out there that's ever been through it knows that it takes weeks and weeks and weeks
and weeks.
It
does.
Hours and hours of your time to compile.
Now, when do you're talking, a couple hours on average, when do you usually do this for folks? Do you do it? Do you come in the evenings? Do you come on Saturdays? What is your...
Whenever. Everybody's schedule is different. So, my hours are flexible. A lot of times I do them in the evening. People need to, schedule after work. Weekends, I do a lot on weekends because people are off work as well.
Sure.
But if you have a morning off or
if you just want to... Maybe you're on spring break or something because your kids are on spring break.
Right.
And you want to take a couple hours to take care of it then, or anything like that. I mean, I'm really impressed since I've seen what you give your clients. I mean, that is really impressive to me to have these color photographs and everything is laid out, and it's an amazing thing to own for sure. We have another caller.
Yes, we do. We got Brandon in Lebanon. Go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, good morning. How are you guys?
Good.
I was wondering, did you guys ever get a chance to get a hold of anybody from Dig Right to find out why they won't mark certain places unless there's a meter on the side of the house?
No, I still haven't got an answer on that. I've had kind of a bad week, so I've been out of the office most of the week,
and so then another thing we're running into now is the electric company is giving us grief about that we have to use a certain kind of a pipe. It has to be a conduit pipe that we have to use for our house, or they won't even put any electric line in the way we want it to, that we'd have to, instead of going underground, go up above, because they said we can't use plastic because that'll, I guess, catch on fire or something. And so, as my dad said today, boy, do you ever feel like you get the runaround? And I said, yeah, I know what you mean.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you have an electrician that you guys are using to do this?
Yeah, we do have an electrician who's working on this, and he knows what to use, but they don't put out what, or I should say, my dad found out today what we should use is somewhat of a box to enclose the electric wirings in.
Yeah.
Which I guess is kind of like a conduit pipe.
Sure.
And I didn't know that before, but nonetheless, the electric company, they have these standards, like you have to dig your ditch so many feet.
Yep, that's true. Yeah, they do. And your
plastic pipe, but a conduit pipe, and it just can get quite aggravating, and that's all I have to say.
Well, on the as far as I don't know whether you're on a co-op or what your electric company is or anything. They all do have different rules and regulations on that. And no, if you don't do proper what they say, they won't pass it. You won't get electric to your house. I still will find out on the Dig Right deal. I promise you, I will do that. But your electrician that you're using should know. Or he should contact
what the codes are.
What the codes are, what the electric company requires, because they do have different things. Some of them really don't make no sense. And as far as not being able to use plastic conduit, that's a new one on me. But you're kind of at their mercy, and you have to do what they say, to get from the transformer to the house. So So it can be an issue, that's for sure. So, but Brandon, appreciate you calling in, and I will work on that dig right thing. 'Cause
Yeah,
I'm really
you
curious.
had kind of a rough week to be doing that.
Yeah, it's
so.
kind of been a rough week, and so
Yeah.
yeah. So
Well, back to home asset security.
yeah, absolutely.
If anyone would like to have this done, or if you have any questions for Patrice, I really suggest that you try and get a hold of her either through her email or her phone. We're going to give that information out again in case you weren't ready and didn't catch it the first time. And go to her website and visit her website and see what she can do for you. I think for $250, that is such a reasonable price, in my opinion, for what you're going to get. It's a really neat asset for you to have with all of your stuff in there. One of my questions is if you decide to make a major purchase or something, like people trade cars or this or that or the other type of thing, do they need to have that recorded? I mean, what items do they need to have recorded if they replace it or purchase something? What do you suggest? Is it big ticket items that is the hard thing to prove, or what is it they need to do?
Well, that's a difficult question to answer in a way, because all the small stuff adds up too. So, a friend of mine had just recently bought like a foosball table for air hockey thing for her son, and their house burned, and the insurance agent giving replacement said, there's one just like it at Target for $99, and they had spent $500 on it.
Oh, wow.
And of course they didn't have the receipts or anything on it, but they had photographs of it, so they could prove that it wasn't the same as the one for $99 at Target. So, there's $400 right there.
Difference.
So that's really, I think the bigger ticket items probably are easier to get replaced.
I would think like on stuff like automobiles and stuff, you've got titles.
Yeah, you have title.
So I would think you could prove that with the title, and hopefully your title's in your lockbox at the bank. Hopefully.
Right. Vehicles, but if you have motorcycles or even there's expensive bicycles and
big screen TVs.
Big
That's
screen
the thing.
TVs.
Now people can go out and spend thousands of dollars on a big TV.
Right.
And so I would want that documented.
Jewelry is the number one claim at 17%, and electronics is second at 15%.
Right.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
So Jordan Electronics, if you're making purchases on those, that's something that you would need to update and incorporate in your stuff so that you can prove that you have that. Especially with TVs. I mean, the price of flat screen TVs is all over the planet.
Oh yeah,
they are.
So you could spend a lot of money on one, and your insurance company might say, "Well, here's a 48-inch one over here for $200, and maybe you bought one for $800."
Right.
There's such a wide range of stuff in
range.
TVs and just about any electronics actually.
Yes.
There's a wide price difference.
Cameras.
So, sure.
I mean, I of course have a bunch of cameras.
Sure.
Always have had a bunch of cameras, and I couldn't tell you right now how many cameras I have. I have them photographed and in my safety deposit box, but
Sure.
I've always had cameras and always lenses and all of that kind of thing. We mentioned tools. Can you remember what's in your storage shed? Because I do the exterior of your home as well, because if a tornado came through, all your landscape is gone.
Oh, and I hadn't thought about landscaping.
Right.
And that's an expensive
That's very
item,
expensive.
is landscaping as well.
So, trees, if you have pictures of your trees, because they only give so much for trees. But if you have a 100-year-old tree, they're going to give you more than they think that you had a little,
sapling or something.
Right.
Yeah. So how do people get a hold of you again, Patrice? And I know there's some people out there that's going to give you a call and want this done.
417-827-4177, or you can reach me at Patrice at homeassetsecurity.com.
Thanks for being with us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And you have a situation going on this weekend.
Yes, I do. My sister-in-law, Kelly Jones, passed away Wednesday morning, and we're having her services at Green Lawn East Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock. Visitations at 1. Kelly worked for about 6 years for the Victim Center in town, and the best way to describe what Kelly did, she spoke for those who couldn't speak for themselves. Wonderful, wonderful lady. 44 years old, passed away. So anyhow, that'll be Saturday. So.
Well, prayers and condolences to your family for
Thank
that,
you.
Mark.
I appreciate that. So. This is Home Repair Solutions. What are you doing this weekend, Mary?
I'm waiting for the ice and snow to melt.
There you go. We'll be back next Friday from 10 to 11 right here on AM 560 KWTO.